Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on November 3, 2022. Protesters who targeted girl with a pearl earring jailed by Dutch court. North Korea, Kim Jong-un wants America's attention. Trump News, live, Trump sues NY's Letitia James as Kash Patel, to testify, in Mar-a-Lago case. Ex-heavyweight boxer Goran Gogic charged with cocaine trafficking. BBC, ex-boxer Goran Gogic charged over $1 billion cocaine seizure. Sky News, former heavyweight boxer Goran Gogic charged with trafficking over $1 billion worth of cocaine. CNN, former boxer charged with trafficking $1 billion worth of cocaine through U.S. ports. 10-year-old trapped in Texas school shooting made 911 call 40 minutes before help arrived. Sky News, Uvalde school shooting, heartbreaking 911 call from 10-year-old girl pleading with police to help released. Evening Standard, girl, 10, trapped with Uvalde shooter repeatedly called 911, report. The Independent, excerpts released of 10-year-old describing Uvalde shooting to dispatcher. CNN, Uvalde student pleads for help in 911 call during school shooting. Bahraini death row prisoner pleads with Pope to aid his release. The Guardian, from a few Catholics to a multitude, Pope to visit Bahrain. Al Monitor, Bahrain Shiites hope Pope raises human rights during visit. The Washington Post, Pope urged to talk of human rights, political prisoners, in Bahrain visit. Reuters, Francis' first visit to Bahrain to cement ties with Islam. The refugees able to work remotely for firms around the world. Russian commanders discussed using nuclear arms in Ukraine, says US. BBC, US increasingly concerned saber-rattling Russia will use nuclear weapons in Ukraine. The Telegraph, Moscow aware of Kyiv's plans to create dirty bomb, defense chief. Anadolu Agency, English, US says its worries are growing over Russian nuclear talk. France 24 English, potential nuclear strike in Ukraine is just talk for now, but here's what Russia could do next. Zelenskiy labels Putin U-turn on Ukraine grain deal, failure of Russian aggression. The Guardian, live, Zelenskiy says grain deal resumption important for whole world. France 24 English, Ukraine's Zelenskiy says he thanked Erdogan for helping preserve grain deal. Reuters UK, US welcomes restoration of grain deal, urges Russia to renew it. Hindustan Times, Russian, Indonesian presidents discuss resumption of Ukraine grain deal. Russia-Ukraine war live news, Blinken hails Turkish help as grain export deal resumes. The Guardian, Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant cut off from power grid by Russian shelling, says Ukraine. The Independent, Ukraine's nuclear agency, Russian military are building something at Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Parkland school massacre, Gunman Nikolas Cruz sentenced to life in prison. Sky News, Parkland families address school gunman at sentencing. BBC, burn in hell, Parkland families deliver final words to shooter before life in prison. Miami Herald, Nikolas Cruz is formally sentenced to 34 consecutive life terms in prison for Parkland shooting. Ethiopian civil war, parties agree on end to hostilities. The Guardian, Ethiopia's Tigray conflict, truce agreed. BBC, Ethiopian government, Tigray agree to end fighting after 2 years. The Independent, Nigeria's Obasanjo clinches unlikely Ethiopia truce. Reuters.com, key events in the Ethiopian conflict. Elon Musk news, latest, Twitter owner responds to blue tick complaints. The Independent, Elon Musk announces monthly fee for Twitter blue tick. BBC News. BBC News, Trevor Noah on Elon Musk's Twitter takeover, he's scrambling. The Guardian, Elon Musk just blew up Twitter verification and will destroy Twitter in the process. Seoul crowd crush, local police offices raided in investigation. The Guardian, police stations raided in Seoul by investigators probing deadly Halloween stampede. The Independent, South Korea's Halloween trauma spreads across society. Reuters, the things left behind, police display belongings found after Seoul crowd crush, in pictures. The Guardian, police called hours before Seoul Halloween crush, BBC News. Israel elections, Netanyahu election win propels far-right to power. BBC, Israel's Benjamin Netanyahu set to win election, exit polls say. BBC News. BBC News, Netanyahu set for return as Israel leader in coalition with far-right. Channel 4 News, Israel election, far-right triumph threatens the country's future. Middle East Eye, Benjamin Netanyahu may be back, but the true victory belongs to Israel's far-right. Russia-Ukraine war at a glance, what we know on day 253 of the invasion. The Guardian, Russian U-turn allows grain deal to resume. BBC, explainer, why the Black Sea grain deal is vital for global food security. Voice of America, VOA News, Ukraine's Zelenskiy, we need reliable defense for grain corridor. Reuters.com, opinion, what happens when the port that feeds the world goes silent? He cannot take power. Bolsonaro's seething supporters refuse to accept Brazil's election result. Sky News, it's over, Jair Bolsonaro reportedly accepts defeat in Brazil election. The Guardian, Bolsonaro supporters call on Brazil military to intervene after Lula victory. France 24 English, good riddance, first Trump, then Johnson and now Bolsonaro. The Irish Times view on the Brazilian election result. The Irish Times. North Korea, Pyongyang fires suspected ICBM. BBC, North and South Korea fire missiles off each other's coasts for first time. BBC News. BBC News, North Korea ICBM launch may have been a failure, South's military says. The Guardian, North Korea keeps up its missile barrage with launch of ICBM. The Independent, Korea fires fresh barrage of weapons tests, Korea and US extend joint air drills. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.